guys. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I'm so happy to have you guys. I see people already popping in here. All right. So today I am joined by the beautiful Promise Tangeman. I'm super excited to be talking to her today about the beginnings of business. We're going to ask some really good questions today. For those of you who do not know me, I am Brittany Janine. I am the owner of Brittany Janine & Co., where we build banging brands for creatives who are ready to claim their spot at the top. And I'm also the creator of Designer Complex, the community for graphic designers who are ready to boss up and build profitable design businesses. But enough about me. We are here to get all up in Promise's business. If that's okay, that's okay for us to get into business today?
Okay. That is all right.
All right. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I'm sure there are a lot of designers in here that are going to love all the content. So just thank you for your time today. So look, we're chilling. Talk to me. Who is Promise?
I love it. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Big fan of Brittany. So thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
I think I'm a creative at heart I love creating. That's what really gets me going. And, but I'm a wife to a pastor. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm a designer. I love style and fashion and interior design.
Yeah.
But for work, I am a graphic designer and a web designer and the owner of a web design firm called Go Live.
Go Live.
Yep. It's all about going live with your website. My
Awesome.
team and I help creative entrepreneurs and small businesses launch what they love. So it's been super fun to help people take their dream job and actually make it or take their daydream, I guess I should say, and make it their dream job. So that's been super fun.
You have incredible work, by the way.
Thanks.
Love the work. Your whole team is dynamite.
Thanks. And the reason we call it Go Live is because I feel like in the industry, at least traditionally, design firms have taken, months and months or even a year to actually get one website launched. And I just feel like in this day and age, in 2018, a lot of creative entrepreneurs, we don't have that time to waste in order to get our business launched and online. So I was like, got to figure this out.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think I knew that backstory. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's why it's called Go Live. So we're all about going live.
Yeah, I love that. So, a lot of us probably stalk you online. We're looking at your stories and your posts and all that, and it just looks like a fun party over there. So talk to us a little bit about just a normal day in Go Live or in Promise's life.
Thanks. Yeah, so my team mostly works remotely. So we work all over the country. I even have a designer in Canada. And so I guess I start off the morning with prayer and journaling at 6 a.m.
Oh, good.
And then I like to do CrossFit a couple days a week, maybe 3 days a week if I can.
That's my jam, by the way. I love
really? Oh, you go, girl. And then I'm all about batch working because I have found I am terrible at multitasking. I cannot bounce from task to task. And especially a design project to a podcast I just cannot do that. So I really try to section out my days. So I'm doing different things, different days, I guess. So Monday I set aside for all my administration tasks. So booking flights or responding to interviews or, scheduling different things. And then Tuesdays I have a lot of my more social activities. I'll do my team calls. During that day, I will also do strategy calls with clients. And then I also hop on the phone to talk with my brand strategist. And we talk about all our clients coming up and which designer would pair best with which client we have in the queue and all of that. So that's kind of my more social day. And then Wednesday is my content day. So I have one girl that works in the office with me and her name's Hunter. And she's my communication strategist. And so we get to work on blog post ideas, social media posts, and just kind of where we're going as a company in terms of the content we're producing. So we talk through all of that. Usually on Wednesdays, we will plan months in advance and kind of iron out any details in regards to that. And then Thursday, I try to just kind of clean up any last minute little projects or anything that has kind of been on my to-do list that I need to do. And then I usually take Fridays off because my husband is off on Fridays. So we have a day off together. Yeah. And then I kind of catch up some of my work on Saturday evening is when.
Okay. That's cool. So you get to go have lunch with your boo on Fridays.
That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then,
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then I kind of wrap up the evening because I just kind of talked about my day with dinner and wine with my hubby or friends or.
What's your favorite wine?
I like red wine. My favorite, I don't know if I have like a specific favorite, but I like red wine, like very bold and strong.
Okay, cool. I'm not a dry girl. I like that like fruity kind
Okay.
of dessert
Okay.
wine-ish. So
Ooh.
when we think of design, a lot of people talk about being self-taught. I always share that I went to YouTube University. But talk to us a little bit about your educational background in terms of design or how you got into design.
Yeah. So I've always loved art, and I grew up like I love. We were having a conversation earlier about how your daughter like cuts up all her clothes and stuff, and that's exactly what I did all growing up. I loved like arts and crafts and painting. I was homeschooled growing up, so I did a lot more play and creating than probably schoolwork. So I feel like I am very well versed in all the tools and anything I need to create anything. But and then I knew I wanted to go to art school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember not even taking the SATs because I'm like, why do I even need to do this? Because I knew I needed a portfolio to get into the school I wanted to. And so I just worked on building my portfolio. And I really wanted to get in for painting and drawing and all the fine art classes. And so I did like photography and pottery, and I took all the classes. And then I also ended up taking graphic design. And I didn't think I would really do anything with that because I was like, yeah, I'm just not really a computer girl. I'm not very techy and all that. But once I kind of got over the hurdle of learning all the tools and the software, then I realized that anything was possible through the platforms that I could use. Like I could create anything and erase anything and tweak anything I wanted to.
Right.
That was really, really like eye-opening for me. And so I really felt like graphic design was art of the future in a way. And then I thought, well, hey, if I can actually help people with my art, then I could probably make a living doing design. Right. So that's really where I fell in love with design and art. But yeah, I double majored in fine art and graphic design.
Okay. And so that light bulb kind of went off when you were going through your educational programs and things.
Yeah. And I just thought like, wow, I never thought I would go into more of the technical aspect of art, but, I loved painting paintings, but I thought like, that's just, it's more of it's not a necessity of life, but it's more of like, I think it would be hard to make a living, at least for my personality. I was like, I think that'll be a bit challenging. So, if I'm able to help somebody, say with design, creating a logo or graphic elements or whatever I can do to help a company, then I was like, I think I might be able to do something with this.
Yeah. So you were on to something pretty early. So when from your educational background in school and all that, did you kind of transition into actually launching your first business? And what did that look like?
Yeah. So I first got a job as a graphic designer, the lead graphic designer for a church right out of college. And I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. And I knew church ministry and I knew that whole vibe. So I was like, I can do this. And then I think, so the thing I learned in church doing design is we had to produce so much design and so fast because it was quite a large church. And so we had to just design for so many different aspects. And so I feel like I got used to like turning things around quickly and like kind of pulling stuff out. Like, sometimes it's hard to create when you're not inspired, but when you have to create when you're not inspired, you get used to that grind. So I started doing that. And then I also loved helping people, like I mentioned, launch what they love. And I guess I first got a taste of creating a unique space that represented somebody when I got into designing MySpace pages.
MySpace, throwback.
This is going to date me, I know. Oh, man. But I love to like make my MySpace look really cool. And when people landed on it, there was like music.
I remember that. That's so throwback. Yeah.
And I remember just feeling like, oh, this space looks like me. It feels like me. And then my friends were like, man, your MySpace looks cool. I want mine to look like that too. And I was like, okay. So I'd get in there and make theirs look cool like them. And so I would say that's like my first experience in personal branding and realizing, oh, you can have a little corner of the web that looks and feels like who you are and who you want to be portrayed as. And that's really where I fell in love with like creating a unique space. So bringing that back around, I started doing freelance stuff, like, starting a side hustle. So I go home at night and would be working on different people's projects. And then I had a blog that I was posting to. So that was starting to catch traction online. So I was blogging the projects I was doing and people were noticing those. And then at a certain point, I really felt like I realized, oh, I love the clients that I'm getting in my freelance business. I think I would like to to quit my full-time job and then take my freelance business full-time. So I, did a lot of saving at that time. So I was like, I don't know what my journey's going to look like once I quit my job. And then I really worked to build up my clientele. So it was about part-time. So then I knew, okay, if I quit my full-time job and I have enough work to keep me busy part-time on my side hustle, then I'll probably, if I just work harder at it, it could probably be my full-time job. So
talk about transitions, right?
A little magic there. Yeah. But it's just one of those things, you do things in life that you don't really wonder, like, should I do this? You just know that you need to do it. And it was just kind of one of those, like, I just know I need to do this. There's really no questioning it, no humming and hawing, no asking a bunch of people. It was like just that feeling down inside that just is, I just need to do this.
Right. Man. So thank you for that. What was your first business? Because when I first started following you, it wasn't Go Live just yet. So talk to us about kind of the transition into Go Live.
So I launched my freelance business as Promise Tangeman Creative first, which that was probably before you knew me, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
And then, so that was like my more custom stuff. And then my first hire was a girl to help me with my administration. So she would do like all my emails and all that. And she would help me so I could focus because, like what I said, I'm not very good at multitasking. So I could focus on my design and then I could have her get back to people. Cause that was the whole thing. And another thing about running a business is, you're not just designing, you're like running a business. So she would help me run the business. I was doing the design. And then I started a side business called Site House.
I think that's when I came in the mix, Site House.
Okay, cool. And so that was my templates. So I created these templates to sell. And that was the template thing. And I really felt like at this time, all of the work, the Promise Tangeman Creative, which was like more custom stuff, and the Site House templates really started to take off. And I needed to figure out, like, okay, what do I do now? And I felt like I was really drowning. I couldn't keep up. So, and then at that time, I was also doing workshops called Go Live workshops, where we would help people build and launch a website in 2 days. And I began to become very passionate about the quick process and helping people launch what they love, because it was a quick and instant gratification. People have been waiting, wondering, should I launch this business? I don't know how to do this business. Then they would come to our workshop and have their business launch, have their website, pretty much their business launched in 2 days.
Right.
So that was
amazing, right?
Crying and hugging.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, wow, this is like really.
You don't realize like how far like your talent can go in someone's life, for sure, right?
Yeah, and I felt like, oh man. So I really feel like that was a moment for me where I realized I think a transition needs to happen here. And I really feel passionate about the Go Live aspect of launching quickly. And so that's when we decided, and the demand was really picking up. And so I knew I couldn't continue to take clients under my own name because people were going to expect me to do the design. And I really felt like in this next season, I needed to be more of the art director, more of the visionary, and then have other designers that were helping me do the design.
Yeah. So you said you have a designer in Canada. Are most of your designers all over? And
yeah, they're all over the United States.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a couple in New York. My brand strategist is in New York. So and then Oregon and all over the place. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So listen, we look and we say like, hey, she's got it all together, but we all make mistakes in business, right? As we're transitioning from stage to stage. I know I've thrown out like 50,000 businesses and have been like, yep, never mind, not doing this. So talk to us a little bit about mistakes that you might have made in business that you'd like to share.
Yeah. Well, I would say one mistake is trading with friends.
Oh, Girl, is that not a real thing right there?
That is more of like a practical one.
Yes.
I've just realized my friendships are way more important than business relationships. And so I offer a discount to my friends or family who need some work done. Other than that, my father-in-law has always said, and this is like more of a personal level, he's always said, if you let somebody borrow something, never expect it back.
Yeah.
And I think it's because when you have an expectation that you're going to get it back, that's where the strife kind of comes in, and the tension in the relationship is they're not giving it to you on time. And, they said they were going to bring it to you and they didn't bring it to you. But if you just have no expectations and you say, yeah, sure, you can borrow this.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, you're not expecting it back. But then if you get it back, that's awesome. And I think that same principle parallels really well. I feel like I've had so many bad experiences of trades that in the end, I'm a type of girl who I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to go above and beyond and like do what I can to make it right and make it awesome, make it excellent. And I just feel like in every scenario, I've always been disappointed or like, just kind of cut in that way. Yeah.
I hear you.
So I feel like I just totally took that out and was like, okay, if I want to do a free project for a friend or something, then it's just on me. No expectations. I just tell them I have to work within my timeline and I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the trades have never been.
That was good. Like that whole barter thing. Yeah. That's real stuff. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Totally.
Any other mistakes?
Yeah, I would say the next one was in the beginning, I really tried to be everything to everybody. And I feel like this is something that I constantly battle.
That's good.
There'll be people that will say like, oh, do you do, this kind of platform, or do you do this kind of website, or do you do this kind of design? And sometimes I feel the need like, oh, maybe we should because people want that. But so back up to start. When I very first launched my business, because I have a fine art degree and I dabbled in photography, I offered all those things. I did photography and design and fine art. And I realized that I was spread so thin and I wasn't really marketing my services in any niche market. It was just kind of like, if you find me, then awesome. Right. But then people had a really hard time talking about me. They would just say things like, oh yeah, Promise is like this really cool creative girl. But that lingo doesn't really stay with people. If someone says, oh, Promise does this business called Go Live and they launch websites quickly. Like, oh, people are going to remember that because it's very niche. It's very focused. And
that's good, Promise. Go ahead and preach
about. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so it's very easy to talk about. And so I would say I continually battle that. I created the business. We mainly focus on web design. We have a branding add-on in our business. So if you need like a logo and brand kit add-on items, then we'll do that as an add-on fee. But all of our packages are only web design. And I felt like my business has far exceeded what I thought it could just because we focused our niche. And so I would say that was a mistake I made in the beginning, was kind of trying to do everything.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and take some notes for myself. Oh. I love that.
And then I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, go. This is come on.
Like talking fast and talking a lot.
Well, for this really quick, if you're in here, I would love for you guys to pop in your questions. Sometimes I ask at the very end and I don't get to them. So if you do have a question or so, maybe we'll get to maybe 2 or 3 at the very end. So go ahead and get those populated in there. We got a lot of comments going too.
Oh, sweet.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead on, my friend.
Oh, no worries. So the last one is, I think as entrepreneurs and as female entrepreneurs even, I think we can sometimes really have a lack of confidence in ourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel I see so many, little slogans on Instagram or on Pinterest that say things like, you are enough, and just do it. Like, you can do it. Like, you're whatever. And I feel like for a while I tried to like pep talk myself enough. Okay, let me back up. I think through my journey, there's always been moments where I have felt insecure or inadequate about a specific thing in my business. But I'm like, oh no, I just need to be confident. I need to be confident in myself. I need to believe in myself and whatever. And so I really felt like in those areas, I tried to pep talk myself, kind of like what those little inspirational quotes say.
Right.
And then there comes a time where I just get so fed up about feeling inadequate in that area. And so I just ask myself, like, what would I need to feel confident about this?
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, it's only like, it's like an online class, or it's like getting a couple books, or it's like listening to a few podcasts every week, or like whatever it is. And so I feel like I've kind of turned that around and said, instead of, trying to just believe in myself more and really value what I'm worth, I just feel like I do whatever I need to do to feel confident in whatever that is. So,
right.
like at
what
one
works
point,
for you?
yeah, like at one point, I have a graphic design background. I don't have, I took web design classes, but I don't have like a web design degree or something. And I remember at one point, there was a guy online who was giving me a lot of, he was just being a bully.
Right.
About how, what's this girl doing? Thinks she's doing a web design. She thinks she's a web designer and all that. And this was back in like 2010, where, there wasn't a lot of female web designers.
Right.
It was like kind of a male dominated industry. And I felt intimidated by that. And then I was like, okay, well, what do I really need to do? So, okay, I need to take some classes. I need to read some books. And then you just feel so much better once you're like, okay, I actually feel like I've put in the time and put in the work, and there's no reason to now feel inadequate in that way. And I think oftentimes the solutions are a lot easier than what we think they are.
Yeah.
Like, you look at this lofty thing and think, oh, I could never be that. But it's like, what do you need to do to feel a little more confident?
Right. I love that. That's good. So, man.
Those are, I would say those would be the top 3 mistakes.
Man, that's good.
There's other ones, but there's plenty of other ones.
No, I'm sure. Listen, I totally get it. Before I move to this next question, I'm going to ask someone else's question because it's kind of in line with what I was going to ask you. Sure. It said, Edith says, how do you find clients starting out?
Ooh, I love that question. So I would say social media is a great place. I would say, okay, 2 things. I would say 2 things to this. I was the type of girl, there's a lot of people online who say, I don't do any work for free. No way. Because, I'm, whatever, I'm worth my time and I'm worth this and the other thing. When you're starting a business, I don't care if you're worth, millions of dollars. Like, you've got to start somewhere. And so I started doing projects for friends and for family for free anytime I could. And then I would post about them. So people saw me doing that thing. And when people see you doing the thing that you say that you do, so it's like, okay, I go online, I'm a web designer now, and I talk online, I'm a web designer. But if they never see you posting projects, then they're like, well, does she ever really do web design?
Right.
But the minute you start posting the work that you're doing, people are like, oh, they start turning ahead like, oh, she is really doing what she says she is. They don't know if you're getting paid for it or not. And what does it really matter? You're getting practice, you're getting work, and you're getting it done. So that would be my number one. Okay. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention on how to get clients. We did this Launch Together Facebook group. We called it Launch Together. And we were selling. So my team, for the 4th of July, we had this website template sale. And we said, anyone that buys a template during the sale, you get in this free Launch Together Facebook group where we help people launch their website. And we kind of give them instructions every day on what to do on their website and all that, this, that, and the other thing. And then every day we had a social media post for them to do. And so it was really building towards their launch. Right. And what was crazy was people were getting inquiries before they even launched their website just based on the social media posts they were posting. So, we would tell them, okay, one day post about like why you love what you do and why you're doing what you're doing. And, the first time you did a project you felt like, or whatever it is that you do. So they were talking about what they do. And so it was really cool. So this guy in particular launched his website, and in a week he had 9 new clients. And I was like, that is awesome. Yeah. And so that was in a 2-week time frame that was leading up to the website launch and then a week after the launch. So it was like,
that's crazy.
Pretty cool. It's the power of social media and just doing, anyway, I could get on a soapbox.
Edith, I think she took care of you there. Thank you for your question. Thank you, Promise. Jumping back in here, what is one thing? I know there's probably a million of them.
Yeah.
But what is one thing that you wish you knew before you started that business of yours?
So I love doing design and creating. The one thing I didn't know when I started my business, I thought when you start a business doing something you love, that you just get to do what you love all day.
Yeah, right. And I ain't like that, right?
So I think that's the one thing that I learned was, if you start a business, that's what you're going to be doing is running a business. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be doing what you thought you were going to be doing all day long, which is fine, but it's just helpful to know when you go in. So I think they say I don't know who they is, but they say that you end up doing 20% of the work that you actually love doing, and then 80% of just like other stuff that a business requires.
Yeah, my husband always talks to me about, how it is running the business. He's like, you're the admin person, you're the janitor, you're the cook for lunch,
You're the marketing.
Yeah, you do everything,
you're the
until
email
you build.
marketer. You're the Facebook ads person.
Exactly. And I mean, until you build to that point, but you're really juggling a lot of different areas when you first, start out. So that's good.
Yeah.
Somebody on here asked suggestions on how you build a design team. So you don't feel stretched thin. That's from Narsha.
Great. That's so amazing. So I had a little bit of an interesting journey because I had a lot of demand for design services, but I didn't quite know how to go about it because at the time the business was built around my design aesthetic and what people saw that I posted, and they wanted me to do design. They wanted the company to do designs like I was doing. And so I thought like, oh, I'll have a bunch of designers and I'll like art direct them. And so I like, would kind of peek over their shoulder, virtually, of course, peeking over their shoulder and like, oh, put that there, and move that here. And I had this vision, and then they wouldn't fulfill the vision. And it ended up just not working out because I'm like, I can't work like this. And these people don't like what they're doing. And this person isn't getting it. And so I actually started just taking my hands off and not even like art directing it. I guess I should say I started art directing at the point of choosing who my team members were going to be, not micromanaging the design.
Yeah.
So I knew, I feel like my design team is filled with people who I love the aesthetic of, and I like that they're quick at responding, and I like just who they are as a person. So I feel like they're the whole package. And then I just like let them have their own relationship with the client, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then I hire all my designers as contractors not all my designers, most of my designers as contractors per project. And I feel like that's really helped. So it allows them to have their own businesses. And then when they like want more work, they always have more work with Go Live. Mm-hmm. So, and I would say I am very conservative in the way I run my business. So I always wait until like everyone is like stressed out with too much work in order to hire someone new.
I hear you. Like, all right.
Like, I'm scared. I don't want to like risk a ton and be like, oh yeah, shoot for the moon. And then like, ooh, we don't know what we're doing. So I feel like I always wait until like we just can't handle it anymore. And I'm like, I cannot do this task one more time on my own.
So that's how you feel the expansion coming when you need to bring somebody in to take care of something. Totally.
I get to that point where I'm like, I'll pay anybody anything to help me.
I hear you. All right, awesome. All right, so Narsha, there you go. On that question there too. All right, so talk to me. We're almost done here. What's your support system like? A lot of times, you say you go into entrepreneurship and everyone doesn't really understand. Mom and dad are like, what? You're quitting your job to do what? So what's that support system for Promise look like?
Yeah. Well, I feel like in the early days, you brought up my family. My parents have always been really supportive in my creative endeavors, and have always wanted me to feel alive in whatever I'm doing. So I feel super thankful for that. So I feel like they've always given me like the confidence and the drive that like I can do whatever I put my mind to in a sense. And then, but I would say definitely my creative support system is my husband.
Awesome.
He loves the business too and gets excited about it. And like when we have sales, he loves to like hop on the live chat and chat with people. And he also is just like a good leveling ground. Sometimes I can be a little extreme. Like I'm like really high on my highs and really low on my lows. And sometimes he's Mr. Positive. He's like cup half full. If you know the Enneagram, he's a 7 on the Enneagram, which is enthusiast. And so everything's positive, everything's awesome. And we're going to, and so I feel like he's a really great leveling ground for me and kind of talks me off the cliff in some ways. So
that's good to have.
Couldn't do without him.
That's good. And it's good that it's in your house too. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I really feel like he pushes me to do things that I wouldn't do on my own. Mm-hmm. Like when I very first started my business, there's a company that reached out to me to go on a speaking tour. It was like on a tour bus. And I was like, there is no way in my right mind that I would have ever said yes to that. And my husband was like, yeah, you should totally do it. And I was like, what? Like, that just sounds no. And so I ended up doing it, and it was a really great experience. So
That's cool.
Yeah,
I've never heard of such a thing.
I would have never said yes to that, but
That's good. Go husband over there.
Yeah.
So we're about to wrap up, but can you talk to us a little bit about how you continue to find that creative spark? Sometimes with running a business, it gets tough. Sometimes your creative spark isn't there. You want to just lay in the bed, go under the covers, and just try again next week. So talk to us a little bit about. I'm talking about myself here, as you can tell.
I love it.
But talk to us a little bit about how you keep that spark and that creativity going within your business.
Yeah, I would have two things to say about that. One of them is, when you have the opportunity to outsource things, outsource the tasks that drain you creatively, emotionally. And for me, it's any of those administrative tasks for me that are just kind of repetition and discipline oriented, like responding. I'm really terrible at responding fast to people's emails. It's like just something that I'm just terrible at. So I feel like that's been huge for me, in knowing myself and knowing what makes me tick, what makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. Like really creating is what gets me out of bed in the morning. I jump up and I'm really excited to do something, to figure out something creative, problem solve that way. I love that. Yeah. But doing a routine, mundane thing is like, that'll just like dry me up. So hiring people that like love that, like that they pop out of bed just as quick to do administrative tasks as I do like design stuff. So I would say that really helps keep me doing what I love to do on a daily basis. And then I would say the other thing is having creative hobbies that you don't get paid for. I feel like as a creative entrepreneur, the dream that I see a lot of people talking about online, and then I even talk to a lot of people. I do these strategy calls with people where we just chat for an hour about whatever they want to talk about. And I would say the majority of the calls, people tell me all of these creative passions that they want to combine into one business. And I'm like, and I could see their point. Like, yeah, you want to do everything you love in your business.
Right.
So that's awesome. But I think something that I've realized is, well, number one, focusing, like having a unique focus is going to be more successful for your business. Kind of what we talked about earlier, having that specific niche and not trying to be everybody to everything, or trying to be everything to everybody. So that's number one. But then also you can have creative hobbies outside of your business. Like I think the thing that everyone aspires to is to get paid for everything creative that they do. But for me, your art isn't your art when you're paid for it. It's a creative service that you're offering somebody. And so for me, like I love interior design, I love fashion, I love painting. It's something I do to stay creatively inspired. And I just feel like that sounds really cliche, but it really does renew my sense of passion and inspiration when I am tapping into those hobbies that aren't for a client.
Yeah, music does me that way, I think.
Oh, cool.
I was talking about singing in the shower with you earlier, but when I get a good, I'm like, ooh, that feels so good and takes me away or whatever, so that's cool.
Sing?
I do not sing.
Oh.
I told you, I think I can sing, but I really can't, so we'll just keep that under wraps. Talk to us, and this is finally wrapping up. You talked about, being inspired and doing other things like reading books and podcasts and all of that. My good friend on here, Tiffany of the Emeralds, she's always like, here's a book, Brittany, you got to read this book. And she holds me accountable to it or whatever. So I have my first book coming in the mail tomorrow.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. So she actually made me show the confirmation that I ordered the book. So
that is a really good friend.
Talk to me about books, podcasts, things that inspire you.
Well, I feel like that last question was a really good entryway to this one, because if you're looking for creative inspiration, I would say Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't heard of that one. Big Magic.
Oh my gosh. That one is about inspiration and creativity.
Okay.
It's amazing. It'll blow your mind.
All right. Big Magic. I'm gonna write that down.
One. And then I would say Creative Confidence by David Kelly is about kind of believing in yourself and knowing just how to unlock that confidence that comes with, creative careers.
And that was called Creative Confidence?
Creative Confidence by David Kelly.
Okay.
And then if you want I have a couple other ones.
Go ahead. Go for it.
There's a real businessy one. I love short books. I love like short little snippets. And so there's a book called Rework by Jason. I don't know if it's Fried or Freed, but it's like a ton of really short little chapters, and it's really businessy. So it talks about like running a business and the best practices and how to be most effective and most efficient and all that. And so I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also loved one called Entre Leadership by Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. And so that one is a really great one about hiring people on your team that have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay.
So I love that. So it's kind of about being a leader and about being an entrepreneur. And then Love Does by Bob Goff. Are you familiar?
Okay. I don't know that one.
That one is just like about living an extraordinary life and just like loving people.
Okay.
That was a more personal one. That was a more personal one.
We need that.
Yeah, so good. So I think that's all the books I got.
Okay, cool.
Well, I have more, but
and you talked about podcasts too?
I like the Gold Digger podcast.
I haven't gotten into that one yet, but I have a lot of friends talking about it.
Yeah,
I need to look at that.
She's got a good podcast going, and she's got great titles of the podcast. So really
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Story Brands by Donald Miller is a good one if you're into like brand strategy and how to be more strategic with building a brand.
I hope you guys are writing out there.
And then just one about like your calling and what you should do with your life and working hard. I don't know if it's a podcast, but you just need to look it up. I watched the video, and I watched it over and over and over again because he's hilarious. But it's his name is Michael Todd, and it's by Elevation Church. It's a sermon of sorts. Mm-hmm. And the sermon is called Marked.
Oh, nice.
And it is just very inspiring. It really, really impacted me.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I think you'll like that one. Yeah. Totally.
Here that maybe I didn't ask you. We still have viewers on here. They're like raving about these books and podcasts too.
So good.
Anything you want to share?
Well, I would just want to share that if you are like looking to launch what you love, my team has a bunch of resources. That is like the biggest paycheck for us is seeing people like triple their business and quit their day job to pursue their dream job. And so yeah, we have website templates, and then I also do like strategy calls if people want to talk more in depth about their branding, and people can find that on my website. You go to
put your website there, golivehq.co.
Thanks. And so yeah, we can talk for an hour about design or social media or strategy or whatever. And then we also do custom design services. But yeah. Oh, and then for the designers watching, we do a conference called Designer Vacay, which is super fun.
Yeah. So I'll be there. I'll be in the building in October. I'm super excited.
So we're technically all sold out, but I feel like our team has like a handful of tickets that we're like kind of holding on to. So if you email us, just go to our designervacay.com website. And if you really want to come, then we can figure something out.
Y'all go ahead and get on that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure something out.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. It's at the Ace Hotel in Palm Springs. So it should be fun. And it's really more like a vacation, just to hang out. We do a couple of sessions, but it's nothing cray.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm excited. I'll be there in October, so I hope you guys jump on those spots.
Yeah.
Well, Promise, I want to thank you for tuning in, giving me your time, answering questions. Let me get in your business. It's much appreciated. Guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to yet another live. We'll be having another one soon with the lovely Tamisha Duncan. We'll be talking about marketing and Instagram and all that good fun jazz. But until next time, everyone have a great evening. Love you guys. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.